All right, so go ahead and tell me about your art project. So, how you've been placing these rocks around the town. And I don't know if you can reveal this, but can you kind of say where you have been putting them?
Yeah, sure, sure. So, this actually started about a year ago. My husband, we have a bunch of little kids, all girls and all under 13, and we're trying to keep them busy. So, he brought home some rocks one day and he was like, let's paint rocks. I was like, okay, sure, let's do it. And I found it really fun and enjoyable. And I love nature and going outdoors. So I brought the girls down to the river and found some really beautiful rocks and started painting. And over the year, I got really, really good at it. And I was really surprised. And took a trip to Sanibel Island, which is in Florida, and they do seashells and they hide them around the island. And I said, that would be a great idea to bring back home. I says, Palmer is a really community oriented. I find that I want to give back to this community. And so with the girls, we painted rocks and I've been hiding them around, and I've been placing on Facebook where I've hid them. Some of them have been at the hospital, which is like Wing Memorial. I've hidden some at the post office, a couple different like neighborhood streets, and the parks. I've done some at the parks. So we kind of just randomly kind of put them around.
And then does anyone or has anyone found these rocks yet? Do you?
So I've done a couple craft fairs and people notice me and they're like, hey, we've found your rocks. And a couple people on Facebook have said that they found them as well. Yeah, it's a small gift for the community. In the times of COVID, everybody is on edge, and just finding a whimsical, cute little present as you're walking, just kind of lifts people's spirits up. So, and it's a good thing to teach the girls.
What are some things people have said to you about these rocks? What have been some of their comments?
Yeah, so people love them. They like how they're all different. There's none that are exactly the same. I do all original ones, and people have said it's just nice for their kids. Their kids get excited seeing them. I met up with this gentleman at the craft fair, and we were talking about how, I hate to put it this way, but people our age don't give back to the community as much as we used to. And he was like, it was really nice to see and be part of this, and find these rocks and just have somebody caring, right? So it's just like when you find it, somebody actually made that and put it there.
Yeah.
So people really like them. Yeah.
So why did you want to start this act of kindness? What, I know you told me a little bit already, but what
Yeah.
drawn you into this, particularly?
Sure. So I love to share my art first off. And I think that art is a great thing to share. Also, I try to be a really good example for my daughters. And so I thought this was a really good way to teach them that it doesn't cost a lot and it doesn't take a lot of time to give back to people, to show that you do the right thing, that you're a good person. And also it keeps me out in nature. When I went to school, I went to Smith and I got 2 biology degrees and I was out in nature all the time. And then I started working in corporate and I was like, wow, I miss being outdoors. And this gets me outdoors as well. It gets me outdoors, finds my free canvases, and I share.
Yeah. And then where do you get your inspiration from? So when you go ahead and try to design an art or a rock,
Yeah.
a rock, where do you get your inspiration from?
Sure. So I definitely take inspiration from many other artists, but what I think I do is I use my canvas. So I'll get a rock and it'll kind of remind me of something. So like a lot of river rocks that I find are shaped like avocado. It's just how it is, right? They're just shaped like that. And so it's really easy to make like a cute little avocado on there and put a pun on it or something. So it's really the canvas. It's really the rock for me. I see the rock and then I kind of come up with something in my mind.
Did you have any requests yet on what to paint?
Yeah, actually I have. I just started. So I've been starting to amp up a little. So I have kind of like a whimsical line where it's like cartoons and kawaii stuff, right? Like cute rocks. And then I have a natural collection where I take the rock and I'll seal it naturally. And then I'll paint a really pretty picture on just the corner. So you get mostly the original rock and then a small painting. So there is a craft store called A Little Craft Store up the road here in Palmer. And it's right on Thorndike. And I have a lot of my like natural and some of my really nice pieces there for sale. So I've had a couple of requests through there. And I also have a website, so people will request stuff through there. I just had a woman here in Palmer, and she had, I can't remember what relative it was, but they had a gravestone, and on top of it was just a very simple Boston Red Sox rock, and somebody stole it on her. And so she kind of reached out and she was like, I can't paint it myself now because I'm not healthy enough to do it. And, I'm assuming, since she reached out, she's willing to pay for it, but I won't take money for that, right? That'll be something that I donate back to somebody in need. That's a really good cause. And it also gets your name out, and it gets people just kind of being kind to each other. I think when you see somebody being kind, somebody else will do it as well.
How long have you been an artist for, would you say?
So painting, not very long. I would be what you'd call a sporadic artist. So I have done so many different things. I've worked with Fimo clay, I've made jewelry, I've painted, I've sewed. So I've been an artist my entire life, ever since I was a little kid, where my mom stuck me on the table with a pair of scissors and a magazine, right? I've always had art in my mind, which is interesting because like half of me is art and half of me is science. So I went to school and I do a regulatory job. So I try to balance my life out with my artist side. So it's not all one way. So I would say all my life I've been an artist, been painting probably for about a year and a half.
Oh, wow. Nice. Do you think, did you like do it more like during like when COVID first started? Did you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I find myself just having it as like a cool down activity at the end of the night. Like my house is filled with river rocks, right? I have little piles of them here and there, and all my girls paint as well. So it's kind of a big project in this house. We went to Six Flags the other day, myself and my twins, and they brought rocks that they painted themselves to give out to the people that were working at Six Flags. So that's how kind of like it's contagious.
So sweet.
Yeah, it's great.
So are you going to be placing these rocks like in more towns, or just kind of sticking to that one town? Like,
So I think at this point, I'll probably just be sticking to Palmer, unless it becomes like a thing and I can like get other people involved in it. Then it might be able to grow, and I'd be into that. I'd be into, getting it into multiple towns. I think like kind of like the little library box. I don't know if you've seen those, but people have like a little library box outside of their house. And I see them many towns where you could just go and like put books in and take books. It's really cute. Just a community thing, to give back and to take. And if anybody was interested, yeah, sure. I would love to. I don't know if I have the capacity to do multiple towns.
do you have a favorite painting that you've done?
Yeah, so one of my most favorites it was a pretty good sized river rock, and I painted a goldfish in a bag. It was done really well, very simple, but the highlights and everything of it and the colors were just amazing. And I went to a craft fair a couple weeks ago, and this gentleman was with his wife and a couple children. And as soon as he saw the rock, he didn't even check the price or anything. He just picked it up and showed his wife, and his wife started laughing and he bought it. And as he walked away, I heard one of the girls or his kids say, what was so funny, Daddy? He's like, oh, it's a joke. I'm sure Mommy will put it on her desk and think of me every time she sees it. And that's what I'm going for, right? I do these random art, but they could trigger thoughts or like memories or likes for people out there. And then they become small gifts that are original, like not a t-shirt or not a pair of diamond earrings, right? Something that you don't already have. So that would probably be my favorite.
Okay, awesome. And then I've seen on Facebook too that you're doing like these sidewalk projects as well. Is that something else you're going to be like kind of doing like with the rocks, like how you did it across the town? Are you going to be doing that too across the town?
Sidewalk projects?
Yeah, I think did you paint something on the sidewalk or no?
Oh, that was just That was me and my daughters up at the park, just fooling around.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was like going to be like a new thing or not.
No, that would be cute though, right? We do, it is often, we live by Converse, the old Converse school, and we do leave chalk there all the time just to share art. And along that same lines, the library here in Palmer does a lot of activities, and I had just talked to them about possibly in September doing a rock painting class there. So I'll bring in some rocks and the paint and have some kids come in and teach them kind of the steps of how I go about painting them so they can each paint their own.
And then, do you think they're going to be placing their rocks too around town, or just keep it up?
I don't know. My daughters will probably place theirs, but maybe I can make that part of the class, right? Where you paint one and somewhere in town you leave it. That would be a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
You gave me an idea.
That's what I'm here for.
We'll see how many kids will give up their rocks.
Great. And then do you want to add anything else too that we may have not talked about?
I don't think so. I think I just really want the message to come through that this is, really trying a really good way to give back to the community, even when you don't have a lot of money or a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of time to paint a rock, and rocks are free. Paint's not that expensive. And it would brighten people's day. I have so many examples of me giving out rocks or things that I've made, and people just really, to strangers, and people just really accept it, and it really brightens their day. And I think that's lacking in life today and in our society. And I just want to teach my girls and try and share that with everybody else as well.
So really bringing positivity into the world right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think we need it, and that it's not hard to do it. I think some people are like, well, what am I going to do? Just me. What am I going to do? And it's like, well, there are things you can do. It's not that hard. You don't have to open up a fund and raise billions of dollars. Like, you can do small things.
How long does it take you to paint one of those rocks, or any kind of project you do?
Yeah, so it can take, if I paint just a small, simple rock, it could take me less than an hour, to paint it, seal it, and do the whole 9 yards. But some of my more elaborate, like I have slate art, and that, those can take days depending on, how many layers and modifications and stuff that I do with them. So acrylics can be a little finicky sometimes. So sometimes it takes a couple layers.
Perfect. All right. That completes our interview. I appreciate
Awesome.
your time, and it was nice speaking to you.
Yeah, you as well. No